Hello, everyone. We have a word from our sponsor, so sit tight and we'll get to the cast. This summer has a high record heat. Walking outside has been rough. I personally walk outside and work outside for a living, and it has been rough out there this year. But one of the best ways I keep hydrated is with Liquid IV. You just rip a packet, add it to water, and drink it down. I personally like the watermelon flavor because it is actually really good compared to a lot of the sports drink I had, and it's not too sweet, which is nice. Another thing that's really nice about it is 3 times more electrolytes, which I always seem to be struggling, especially in this heat. So 3 times more is very noticeable on those hot days. So you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code NERDBS at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code NERDBS at liquidiv.com. Remember, all lowercase, and thank you for listening. And now let's move to the cast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Nerd BS. It is Wednesday, actually. We've decided to start recording on Wednesdays again. It is Wednesday, the 20th of September, and I am joined by my wonderful co-hosts, Tomas.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
And Kyle.
Hello.
And we are going to talk about 2 things today, Baldur's Gate 3 and Ahsoka 2nd. So we will start with Baldur's Gate. Why don't you kick us off, Tomas, because you are the one, I think, the only one who's actually put a considerable amount of time into this game.
Yeah, actually, I've put quite a bit of time in it, because mainly right now I'm working on reviews for my second book and stuff, so that I can get that all set up, so when the editor wants it, they can get it. So I've had a bit more free time on my hands probably than you guys, but I've gotten pretty far in it. I just made it to the city recently, and yeah, I find it to be an incredible game. Not so much like gameplay wise. There are some things that are a little frustrating gameplay wise, but in terms of getting the feeling of sitting down and playing D&D, it's actually great. And I would love to get together with you and maybe even Kyle if there's a chance, or maybe with couch co-op, because you can really actually feel like you're playing D&D while playing it, and there are some insane things that can happen. It's just really fun. The whole dice rolling thing, I can never get enough of that. It gives me all the dopamine hits.
Yeah, explain that dice thing, because I've seen it, but maybe elaborate on it a little bit.
Yeah, so like for any skill that you do, like lockpicking or trying to persuade someone or trying to sneak. Well, I haven't seen it too much for sneak, but pretty much for any action that you do, the screen will have this little dice come up, and it will roll into a dice dice platform, dice mat for you. And so yeah, you can see the number that you have to reach, and then you can watch the dice roll and cross your fingers that with all your additive stuff and skills like or spells like guidance and things like that you'll match the DC. So, but
yeah, I experienced it on the laptop a little bit, or the PC. My brother owned it or purchased it back when you could pre-order it about 2 or plus years ago at this point. And when I got my laptop about at the beginning of this year, I was excited, so I was trying out different things, and I noticed he had it. So I put it on, and I played the beta for a bit, and I was really enjoying it, but I did find that my laptop wasn't the best for it, so I kind of was waiting for the console port. But with so many games being out right now and everything else, I haven't really got a chance to get into it. But it looks like a very good game, and Larian Studios is a very good company, and they are very good on not putting like microtransactions and stuff into games. I mean, they're been very staunch about not doing it. In fact, I don't even think their other two games really have any expansion packs or anything.
I haven't seen anything about microtransactions in this one. I actually would really like an expansion pack to this one, just because I would like to be able to keep leveling my character. It does kind of stink that you can only get to level 12. I understand why they did it. I'm not saying like, oh, this is stupid, but like I do understand why they did it, because it would just be so much extra stuff to add to the game that would just be insane, when there's already a lot in the game itself. Like, and yeah, one of the things you're saying, like with performance, man, I will say this, I got used to not having load screens on the PS5, and this game has load screens.
Really?
Yeah, it does take it a while sometimes to load it up.
Really getting a blast from the past. It's not only a turn-based game, but also you have to wait for your world to load in, huh? Slows you down a little bit.
It really does. But one of the things that I did find that was so fun about this game that I didn't realize how much I missed this until playing this is I'm sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. I really missed the playing a game and not having fetch quests. Like, just exploring the world, and as you explore the world, people go, that people don't even necessarily tell you that they need help with something. You often have to like egg it out of them, like, come on, what do you need? Tell me what you need. Like, and you could essentially go all the way to Baldur's Gate without finding the majority of the side quests, and you would probably still have a very fun and entertaining game. Like, I honestly forgot how much I missed a game that just depends on its narrative. You know what I mean? To make hours instead of being like, oh, now you gotta go get 50 of these things or conquer these towers, or you know what I mean?
I'm trying to like grasp my mind around it. There are no like side quests or anything like that? Is that what you're trying to say? Or
no, there are definitely side quests, but what I'm saying is like, for example, the main quest took me to I'm not going to say any names or anything because I don't want to necessarily spoil the game for people, but the quest took me to a certain location. I went to this certain location. When I arrived at this certain location, I went to complete the quest, and in doing so, found another quest that was also essentially part of the main quest. You know what I mean? So it was like, oh, well, I'm still doing the main quest, but I can still do this extra thing because it's all right here. I don't have to travel the world to do something. You know what I mean? Like, it.
So they're doing a good job with intertwining the side quests with the main objective.
Everything just feels so fluid. Nothing feels like just pointless grind for grind's sake. You know what I mean?
And what about... So have you played any other Lyrian
No, I
games?
haven't. And I kind of am disappointed that I haven't after playing this, because I'm like, wow, if the stories are this good in the other ones, I maybe should have played those.
Yeah, the Divinity games are really good as well. They do not have the core system like the 5th edition system as their backing, but they have their own system that they've created that's actually very good. So, I mean, do you have any interest in trying those games now that you're playing this one? Because they're the same style, but they're still this turn-based style with the different mechanics underneath, but they're still very similar.
So, one of the advantages that this game has for me that other turn-based games don't have for me is I very much enjoy D&D, mainly for the camaraderie and some for the story. So I do understand that when I'm playing D&D online, when I'm playing D&D on a console, I'm not necessarily getting the camaraderie, but the story to me was so gripping that it was interesting. So if Larian's other games, if their stories are somewhat familiar to me and therefore I would be easily gripped by them, yes, I think I would enjoy them a lot. I think if it was a completely new fantasy that I would have to get to know the lore to and things like that, I don't think I would get that gripped by it.
You're saying because it's in the Forgotten Realms, it makes it more
appealing.
Because
I've grown up with Forgotten Realms, so I know things about the Forgotten Realms. So there's that bit of nostalgia that gets pulled in with this as well.
Got it.
How did you remember if it's the Forgotten Realms?
Well, I mean, I don't know if Kyle, if you've ever played any of these style of games, but this one has couch co-op, which is something that I find absolutely amazing. And
I would love that.
I would love to. I don't know how many it can support on couch co-op, but I think it would be fun to get together maybe for an afternoon and just let you see this. Although it can be overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie, it can be overwhelming. One of the advantages again is that I know D&D and I come from a little bit of a D&D background, and so stepping into this, it wasn't so overwhelming to me. But I could understand how people who haven't played D&D and stuff who could be overwhelmed by this. Like, this is just too much. Like, too much. Everything's like, I know that even Imogen, who plays D&D, who's played this, she'll sometimes say like, I can't play this because it just requires too much brain power. Like,
yeah, she mentioned something about the inventory management.
Yeah,
and
that is not.
She brought that up, and I am concerned about that because I struggle with inventory management in games because it gets so bogged down sometimes. And D&D, even as a tabletop RPG, it's still something that it consistently happens. And when Imogen, when your fiance brought it up, I think it was yesterday or something, I walked into my son's room while he was playing, and I saw this giant grid between two characters he was going through, or I think it was selling or something. I was like, holy crap. And he was just like, yeah, this isn't even the half of it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so much inventory management. I don't know how this is enjoyable. That's always been my struggle with a lot of these RPGs is just inventory management, because it just always takes so much time.
Yeah.
And I'd rather just play the game.
Yeah, and I can attest towards what happens, like how vital inventory management is throughout the game, because I haven't finished it yet. But I will admit that inventory management can be stupid overwhelming, because like I'll go through a part of the game and I'll be like, all right, I got to set aside like half an hour to 45 minutes because I'm going to go through all this stuff and figure out who needs what and what should be worn by who and stuff like that. But the thing is I don't know if it has to be that dramatic or if you really just need to focus on equipping your 4 members. But I've just been trying to micromanage between my whole party, which definitely has made inventory management kind of like, do I sell this? Do I keep this? Is someone else going to be able to use this? Like, I feel like if I get towards the end of the game, if I get to the end of the game and I didn't need the other people that I was like equipping out, the next time I play through it, I'm just going to sell everything that doesn't pertain to my 4 people. You know what I mean? Just, you have it all.
Yeah.
Is there an auto equip? Is there an auto feature?
That's exactly what I was going to ask as well. Yeah.
I honestly don't know because I haven't gone into that option because I'm a control freak, so I like to micromanage everything. But I believe Imogen has said that on the computer one that she plays, there's some type of like auto control on at least the companions, so she doesn't have to worry about them. So yeah,
that's good.
But I don't know if that's on the computer. I mean, I don't know if that's on the console.
I would imagine it's the same. I mean, if it isn't, that would be surprising.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the game is identical between the console and the PC, besides potentially the control scheme. Well, what are you playing? Why don't we go over like what as you're playing it, like what's your character and how are you liking that specific character?
I personally made a barbarian, mainly because I wanted to ensure that my character wasn't going to die, and I knew that in D&D, barbarians are really good at soaking up stuff. So I made a barbarian so that I wouldn't die. It has made my conversation interactions interesting, to say the least, which is actually some of the fun that I've really started to enjoy with this, is the fact that, like, yeah, you could swap to your more charismatic player to talk to everyone, and then you would ensure that you would have a higher success rate. But with my barbarian, I talk to everyone, I do all this stuff because I want those fails to see how crazy stuff can happen. And like for example, I'll just end on this example. I was in a library talking to a librarian, or in a shop talking to a lady who was selling books. It wasn't just books, so it would, I guess, not be a library. But anyways, she was selling books, and she was whispering, and I was like, well, my character was like, well, why are you whispering? And she was like, well, the books, are a little temperamental, so we need to keep our voices down. And playing a barbarian, I had an option in my thing, barbarian option, to essentially yell really loud, like, is that true, books? Is that how you want the atmosphere to remain? And so I chose that option, and all the books exploded. Like, literally exploded. It was hilarious.
That's great.
But I wouldn't have had that option to say that unless I was playing a barbarian. So I have always just used my barbarian to talk to everyone so that I can have that option to do my barbarian thing. There are some times where I haven't done my barbarian thing because I was like, no, that's just crazy. But yeah, it's a great game. I highly recommend it for anyone who likes D&D, who likes fantasy, who likes a good story in a game. I will warn you, yes, there are some mechanical issues that are kind of annoying. There are some inventory organization things that could be much smoother and much better handled. But overall, I just cannot get over the fact, and I'm going to repeat myself right now, I have really missed a game where I feel like progressing through the game is actually part of the story. I'm not doing these stupid side quests that have nothing to do with my actual story. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it reminds me of who are those guys on YouTube that do all those videos, all the Australian guys or whatever.
I think I know what you're
That
talking
do all the
about.
fetch quests. Yeah, you know
The
what I'm talking
NPC guys, the NPC dudes or something.
NPC
like that.
man.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, just all the. They just make skits.
Yeah,
about
they
how
make
ridiculous
it. Yeah,
the games are.
yeah,
How tedious it is.
They do it.
That's awesome though that it's not going that way.
I mean, there are definite side quests, and it's side quests, but in so doing side quests, you further main quests. You know what I'm saying? Where in other games, you don't further the main quest. It's like, why did I get you 100 board tusks? Oh, because I wanted it. Where in this game, it's like, why did I get you 100 board tusks? Because I can make you this really cool weapon if you want it. Well, okay.
Right, yeah, you said like it's not just fetch quest for the sake of fetch quests. Actually, there's a purpose to it, which is cool. Do you think you see them like updating those issues that you mentioned?
I would hope so, and I would think so, mainly because I know they've updated things so far, and they've changed things so far. So
yeah. Lorient is known to have a very passionate development team, so they're very consistent on updating and making sure bugs are fixed. So I would see that they will probably continue to upgrade this game, and I also expect there to be an expansion, just because the other two had expansions as well, the Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2. So it only makes sense that Baldur's Gate 3 would have an expansion as well. So we'll see what happens. But I think that's enough of Baldur's Gate talk. I've been trying to keep the buzz going of a new show that came out recently, very Star Wars themed, Ahsoka. I think we've all watched it, which is pretty rare recently. I don't think there's been a show that we've all been following up on, but I think it's primarily because I don't know if it's because just I know I was super hyped for it. I know Tomas has some interest into it, and I know, Kyle, you have your conflictions with it, but Ahsoka is out. We've all kind of kept up, I think, on every episode. Are you not caught up, Tomas? I think we talked about this.
I haven't seen the newest one, but I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen. I will say this for the show: it is predictable, but I don't think I was getting into this thinking it was going to be like a mind bend or anything like that. So I do think I know what's coming, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, but you don't care about spoilers? I think you brought that up.
I guess.
They use the space whales. The space whales.
Hold on. We are doing spoilers. Spoiler. Now we talk about Ahsoka with all the spoilers. Go ahead.
Space whales are going to take them to Thrawn and Ezra. But prior to that, what's her name? Sabine is going to go. She is going to see Ezra. She is definitely going to turn on the other Jedi. Balin's skull? Right. She's definitely going to turn on Balin. The other Padawan won't. They'll have another fight between the two of them. Yada, yada, yada. Am I on the right track?
No, you actually kind of missed out a couple things there that
close though.
Don't happen that way. Yeah,
a couple things.
I mean, a couple things, yeah, but it's easy to guess on some
that's
things
what
sometimes.
I'm saying.
That's what I was saying.
But that's kind of where it was going, anyways.
But yeah, I've been enjoying it as far as a Star Wars show. I mean, I was really let down by Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan was awful.
Yeah, I was slightly let down by the third Mandalorian. I definitely...
Yeah, it was pretty meh.
Yeah, I definitely see the problems that you had with it, Alan, and I would probably agree with them as well. I feel like this is a Mando show. Why do we still have Baby Yoda? I loved Baby Yoda, but to me, it had nothing to do with the Mandalorian. But anyways, those gripes aside, what I have liked about Ashoka, although they haven't been anywhere near prequel level saber fights, but the saber duel.
No, they do not have the same. Yeah, they do not have the same director, fight choreographer.
They are better than the Obi-Wan Vader junk that we got. Like,
yeah, I was telling my friend that I feel like this is the best lightsaber combat we've seen since the Clone Wars, or not Clone Wars, since the prequels. Because the prequels, love them or hate them, they had amazing lightsaber fights.
And
like, there was no question about it.
I wouldn't say that Ashoka's on par with them, but I would definitely say that Ashoka has remembered how cool a lightsaber fight can look and has done that. Like, which I really appreciated. In terms of story, like I said, it's pretty predictable, but I wasn't necessarily gonna be shocked by anything. Didn't quite get the whole water thing. I feel like they could have had that same moment if he had just like force pushed her into a rock and knocked her out or something. But I feel like if you get knocked unconscious in the water, it becomes it becomes less realistic that way. I know it's not realistic at all, but in a way it's like, at least treat your audience with some level of understanding that the threat level is at least still semi there. Like, because with her like being fine after being in a situation where she should have drowned no matter what, because she's unconscious, she can't use the force to protect her. I feel like that was a poor choice, and I feel like Star Wars has made those choices kind of repeatedly, and it's kind of bugged me. They did it with Leia, they did it with Kylo Ren and Rey, where they just freaking heal each other, and now they're doing it. Oh, and they did it in Obi-Wan, where they try to threaten Luke. And it's like, but anyways.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, but I would argue that, the Force is beyond our recognition, so it's a bit different, which is even beyond their recognitions. They've even stated that multiple times.
Such a cop-out, and it's poor writing when you could actually make the writing work so that the stakes are still there, and you don't have to make it go, well, the Force can just do whatever it wants. Because with that kind of...
So this is where the problem is right now, is that I know neither of you have watched the other two series, which means I don't think you guys, or specifically you, Tomas, when you're explaining this, I don't think you understand Ahsoka's history, because she's kind of I wouldn't say god, but immortal. No, seriously, she was she absorbed the mother, or the sister, which was essentially a god who brought her back to life.
Okay, and that's fine with me and everything like that. But if you're going to create stakes, you need to stick to them, and that's the problem that I have. It's not a problem with Ashoka.
What stakes are not being stuck to?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that if you're gonna create stakes, like people can die, then you need to put people, if you put people in situations where they will die, then they need to die. Like, this whole new Star Wars has...
But she was, first of all, she wasn't even there. She was in the world in between worlds. She was put there after that. No, her body isn't there. Her body is in the world between worlds.
Then they need to do a better job explaining that, because the audience has no idea this is happening.
I mean, I knew it.
Hardcore Star Wars
Wars
fan. I can tell you that 90%.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue with Ahsoka right now, is that it is not designed for people who aren't up to date.
And whether that is or is not the case, but that is my point, is that their writing is going in such a way that either they're leaving their audience in the dark, or they're treating their audience as if everything previous canon didn't exist, and it becomes a bit frustrating.
Wait, what? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Previous canon doesn't exist. What do you?
People drowned in Star Wars. I mean, it's happened. You can't tell me that people haven't drowned in this universe. So if you put people in a situation where they can drown, then maybe they should just drown. Like I do.
But she is not just a person. That's what I'm trying to make you understand. First of all, and second of all, there was a logical reason why she wasn't
right.
dead.
And that's not explained very well in the show. That's what
my
Tomas
point.
is saying.
But the thing is
yeah.
The thing is
I suppose the show's not perfect. I'll give you that. I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect, but I mean, I had no issues with it, I guess.
Well, I like the lightsaber fights. I think they're done well. I do think, like I said, the story's a bit predictable, and I do feel like that this is a lot. When I watch some of these lightsaber duels, even though they look so cool, I know no one's gonna die in them, and that kind of takes away some of the excitement in the lightsaber fight for me, because these people are immortals. But I do love. love seeing at least some of what I grew up loving. But yeah, maybe it's also just the fact that it's being taken in a different direction. But I feel like it's not explained well. But it's got its good points and it's got its flaws. But I have enjoyed it for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I mean, it definitely started off a little slow, but I feel like it's really picked up. It's definitely a continuation from Rebels almost directly. I mean, there's a little stuff in between with Mandalorian and things like that, but for the most part, it is directly following Rebels' footsteps, which has been pretty great for anybody who's a fan of those series, because we got left on a huge cliffhanger, which this is kind of continuing that. Yes, we already knew. It was kind of bad on their part for spoiling Thrawn in the trailers, because it kind of did give you the exact where it was going. I mean, if you didn't know, this last episode, Thrawn was finally shown for the first time, and I really like where the aesthetic is going and things like that. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm loving Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati. These are probably my two most exciting characters that are going forward in Star Wars right now, just because they're very mysterious, and we got a bit more information on Baylan in this last episode, which was phenomenal. I'm loving all the Night Sister stuff. We're actually getting a lot more Night Sister stuff, which is fascinating. That we went to the planet Peridea, which is from what I've understood, completely new thing to Star Wars. And we're talking about history of the Night Sisters, and we have the new mothers or grandmothers, these witches that were there. We have Thrawn, who's took me a second, honestly, I won't lie. I guess I've always depicted him as a little bit more interrogating, but he did do a lot of the things that I was expecting. He was very practical, he was very callous, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And you could see when he was moving the pieces on the board during it. Now, it still doesn't make sense why if they're on the same planet, then why hasn't he found Ezra yet? But that is what it is for now. So we'll figure that out.
Here's something a lot of your points, I agree with Alan. I actually have found Baylan interesting. I find his Padawan, I care a little less for, but him himself, yes, I find him very interesting. I am a bit confused on the person that he's working for. Is she a Night Sister, or does she just know Night Sister magic? So she, if you don't remember, in Mandalorian, she was in Mandalorian. It was Morgan Elsbeth. She is a Night Sister. She is a witch. She is. So in this latest episode, they finally confirmed that
Balin Skoll and Shin Hati are technically mercenaries for Morgan Elsbeth. So she hired them. So that means that Balin Skoll is this weird dark Jedi that is kind of going his own way. I don't even know if he's really a dark Jedi. The way he described himself in this last episode was basically he's taking what he liked from the Jedi, what he respected, but also throwing away all the things he felt that they were doing wrong. And that's why
here's my thing that's a little confusing with sorry, can you say her name again? The person that's hired.
Shin Hati.
The one that's hired them, the Mandalorian.
Morgan Elsbeth.
So I really like a lot of the costumes, like with Ahsoka and with what's her name, the pilot Hera. Like I really liked
Hera.
The costume design and stuff like that. I really wish though they had made Morgan look more like a Night Sister though, because I feel like she does.
So this is, they did that. I don't know why exactly they went with that specific aesthetic. I'm assuming she's essentially hiding who she was in The Mandalorian, because it seemed like a lot of the people around her didn't know exactly who she was, and so she's been kind of hiding that. She does not look like a Night Sister, but in this current episode, we got these three characters these three witches that definitely they're very dead on Night Sisters. So it is definitely really cool looking. And this is the first time we've actually had like a real Night Sister in live action.
Night Sisters, that's for sure.
So, we've heard my opinion on it. We've heard Alan's opinion. I'd like to hear Kyle's.
I mean, kind of taking your complaints, Tomas, just a little bit further. I don't like the lightsaber battles. Like, you guys were comparing them to the prequels, and they had months of choreography and training to prepare for that. And it's evident that these shows don't have it, and it's just
I was gonna say shout out to Nick Gillard, and I hope that they bring him back. He's the choreographer for the prequels. He is still around. He's still working, but for some reason Disney is not grabbing him back, and I have no idea why. And it's bugging me.
And that's like
continue, Kyle.
Complaint really is like Disney is just overall making a lot of bad choices with a lot of their properties that they own. But we're talking about Ahsoka, so I just found like some of the costumes okay, but like Hera, I can't even look at Hera.
Oh, really?
She looks weird. Yeah, like her tentacles just too much.
Twi'leks have always looked bizarre. It's hard for them to do the Liku correctly. I mean, even in the original Star Wars movies, they've always been kind of.
Is it?
It's
let me
hard
ask you guys. Is it because of the way like they don't move like they do in the cartoons and stuff? Like that's.
I don't know what it is exactly. Yeah, because even like I said, even in the original trilogy, it's always been kind of.
There are times where I've been watching it, although I've seen it more with Ahsoka than I've seen it with Hera, but maybe because Ahsoka's on screen more. It's not called a Liku with her, right? It's
No, I can't remember what it's called, but it's not a Liku.
Yeah,
still organic.
I believe it's her front right one. Always has a tendency to bend out towards the right, no matter what she's doing. And I've really noticed it, and it really kind of bothers me. And I'm just like, why can't they have a puppet dude that is just keeping control of those things? Yeah, and just moving them in place. That would be his job. They've done stuff, and the reason would probably be because it's a TV show, it's not a movie. They do a lot more stuff like that in movies and stuff. But Disney has the money to hire someone to do that. I know movies have done that.
I didn't even notice it, to be honest.
Have done that. They use puppets to control little specific parts of the costumes, and so it's kind of like. It can be done, and it can be done well. I just don't understand why you don't do it. Like, it would make it so much more immersive, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah, I agree. If they put more into that probably would help. But I don't know of any other property that even does anything similar to this. Like, because these characters have like things on their heads that are supposed to be part of their bodies, like without just going diving directly into CG, which they could. I mean, they could probably put more CG into it, but how much CG do we want? Yeah, but at a certain point, I don't know. It hasn't affected my. I haven't even noticed it.
For the
to be
most
completely
part,
honest.
like when she's fighting and stuff, I have no problem with it. I don't notice it, but it's mainly when she's talking or when she's doing one of her silent poses, which you have to admit she does quite frequently. It becomes pretty obvious to me. It's like silent pose. I can see that thing sticking out weird. And her other one's fine. Her other one is laying flat. It's perfectly fine. That one is not.
Yeah, that stuff bugs me too.
But
I tried to let it go. I really did, but it's just like.
Yeah, the fact is I'm nitpicking at that point, and I know it. But I will agree with Kyle. The saber fighting is not as good as the prequel. But I will also say, and maybe it's because we've had such bad saber fighting up to this point, it is miles better than what I've seen in the past decade. Like,
yeah,
and
well,
I appreciate that.
I agree.
Movies, then there's no contest. Those things are terrible. I mean, Force Awakens is okay, I guess, but
yeah. But
I think the whole show is like too slow. There's just too many long shots. It's just like it could probably be a whole episode shorter if they didn't have all those long, drawn-out shots and conversations. The conversations don't feel organic at all. Like these characters should have all this history together. And the reason why going back to the Hera's thing, I didn't watch the original shows, but I did play the mobile game for 6+ years, and they had all those characters. The Phoenix Squad was a team, right? And so I had Hera as the lead, and I would see those characters every day. So in my mind, they need to look like the animated characters, right? That's the problem. Like translating them into live action.
Okay, I can see.
Is and there's room for there's wiggle room, but that one just bugs me so much. She looks so weird. I don't know what's going on. Maybe she has a lot of hair or something. I don't know.
Maybe. I will also say one of the things that I've been kind of surprised with is, especially because they showed him in Mandalorian, where has what's his name, Lestat, the big purple guy, Zeb.
Yeah. Zeb.
He's a Lestat, right? Or Lestat? What's their race called?
Yeah. Sounds about right. I don't remember right now off the top of my head.
Anyways, they showed him in Mandalorian, and so like when she like brings the force of pilots to help Ahsoka, I was like, oh, okay, and they're gonna show Zeb, and there was no Zeb, and I was like, wait, I thought Zeb and her were like thick as thieves.
Yeah, did something happen that we don't know about?
Yeah, like is there something that?
Yeah, I don't know why Zeb wasn't there, but he's not there. Yeah,
Like,
I honestly, I don't think anybody else is necessary for this story right now because they're focusing on the primary characters.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I feel like if you're giving your audience fan service, then you should just deliver on the fan service and give it all.
Yeah,
like,
and
hold back.
Like Tomas was saying, all it takes is like a quick line, like, "Oh, Zeb is off doing this."
What he's doing. Zeb is off helping the Mandalorians reestablish Mandalore. Oh, all right.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now I'll go watch that show.
Yeah.
Not a huge deal. Just that one was weird to me too.
I do like seeing, but this of course does go a bit back to the lightsaber fights. I do really like seeing Ahsoka fight. I feel like the actress that they got to play her and her stunt double have really done a really good job of embodying her movements, the way she would use her sabers.
Yeah, I like the
Yeah.
changes in her fighting style. It's definitely gotten a lot slower on purpose. She used to be a much faster fighter when she was younger, and you can definitely tell she has age, and she's waiting for the opportune moments. There's even times where she like puts away the second saber to focus on a more singular saber fighting style.
See that fluidity when she fights, even with a single saber, which you didn't see perhaps the way, I don't know, Anakin fights. You know what I mean? His fighting style is much more chopped and cut, whereas hers is much more circular and pulling and pushing. And I really enjoy that fact.
Did you guys watch the Clone Wars at all? Yeah. Did you guys watch the Clone Wars and stuff?
Okay. Long time.
How did you feel about Hayden? Hayden reprising his role. I mean, he's essentially playing the Clone Wars Anakin, which is really cool. And I really loved, him coming back. And I loved those scenes, like when they showed Ahsoka as a young child, and those were like extremely emotional scenes in Episode 5. Which, I mean, obviously at this moment it seems like that was the peak of the season. I'm not sure how it can get any better. This last episode, Episode 6, was probably close, mainly because of all the almost weird, dark looks from the newer troops, the Night Troopers, which were really cool looking, and I have a theory about them that I'm curious to see what's going on, that whole situation.
If I could take it back to Hayden Christensen real quick, I did not like his reprisal in Obi-Wan. I didn't like it at all.
Well, that was Obi-Wan. No,
but I do like his reprisal in Ahsoka, and here is what I think is the difference. In Obi-Wan, he doesn't, and I might be stepping on some toes here, so I'm sorry, but Hayden doesn't embody Vader to me. He embodies that Anakin that is going dark. I
don't know, man. Did you see him in Episode 5? That was pretty. He did a lot of really interesting, like, flashbacks between Vader and Anakin. Like, you could definitely tell that this is a more balanced, a shut on and off the Sith power Anakin now, because he's. I feel like he's the true balance of the Force, if you will.
As Anakin, but anytime they have Hayden Christensen acting as Vader, I don't get the same impact from him. As Dark Anakin, maybe it's his facial expressions, maybe he acts really well with his face, and so I really like seeing his facial expressions. I don't know. But when I see him as the turned Anakin, I freaking love it. When I see him as Vader, I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the de-aging in this was way better than Obi-Wan. I don't know what happened in Obi-Wan, but he actually did look like age appropriate in this.
Yeah.
So I give him credit for that.
But no, I really like him coming back as this kind of mentor role with Ahsoka. I liked seeing him in that kind of dark Anakin, I guess, where he's not in the suit and everything.
Yeah, that's Vader.
No.
That is Darth Vader.
I mean, in the suit and everything. I hate him in the suit. It doesn't work for me. I don't know why. Just the voice, everything doesn't sound the same. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
When I see him as, and I'm going to keep saying this, Dark Anakin, I don't care if it keeps getting you all upset, Alan, because I'm going to keep saying it. Dark Anakin, that's the look I like. That's the way I feel like he embodies.
Well, when was he in the suit in the show? Because he wasn't in the suit in this. What? We're not talking about Obi-Wan. We already said Obi-Wan's terrible.
I said in Obi-Wan, when he's in the suit, I didn't like it. And so I'm just talking, I wasn't talking necessarily about in Ahsoka, because in Ahsoka, I don't think he's been in the suit. I don't think he's been in the suit.
No, he hasn't. That's why I was confused why you kept bringing it up.
I was just giving a comparison of saying that I liked in Ahsoka. I like that he's not in a suit. Like, okay. I like that he's...
Yeah. He's Anakin. He's Darth Vader, but without the suit, which is fine. He does a good job. It was really good looking as he was switching back and forth.
Which begs the question: was that her interpretation of him, or is that his like Force ghost?
So we're unsure. There's a lot of rumors that he possibly has taken the role as the father.
Oh, okay.
So in the Clone Wars, hence why he takes her out into the world between worlds. Hence why she was alive in the water. Everything it's all connected.
Explained better.
There's a reason for it. It's supposed to remain mysterious for now. It's supposed to be like bringing up theories and things right now.
I liked it as far as what it is. I definitely thought it was a step up. But yeah, I do still have some problems with it, but most of them are nitpicky. Some of them are glaring, but for the most part, I like it. I would definitely say it's worth a watch.
Yeah. Yeah,
I disagree.
That was pretty great.
Not worth your time.
Fair.
Yep. Yeah.
But we all know Kyle's wrong, so it's okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
No, I'm playing with you, Kyle. Anyways.
All right. Well, I guess that's wrapping it up. That's the end of the episode. So I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks. Later.
Dragging him away by the collar. Anyways, see you guys later.
All right, good night.
Bye.